you have any questions, please ask now. If nobody have questions, we will continue. At least you guys can chat, right? If you don't have a questions, you can say like yes or no. Okay. We have one, two, three, four, five. Okay, five people are here. Let me continue this one. Okay. So, for example, if you go to here, right? As I mentioned, every time while you are writing the code, always no questions from Sandeep. Thank you. So, if you have while starting your things, right, always make sure you open the Node Word documentation. Okay. So in that we do have work with a few of the things. Like for example, you saw like something like a I mean, you saw something few of the modules, right? One is a file system you have see that, and next one buffer you have seen, okay, right? So along with that, we do have few more stuff like a process. Okay, for example, if you talk about the process, right? So there are a few things in the process like process.abort or process.argh, yeah, arch and architecture, process.argument v, process.arg0. So out of all those things, you have seen only one thing, process.argv. That is nothing but the arguments which you are passing to the process. So you can see like what are the arguments you are passing here. And I think you already saw like process.current working directory, the whatever the working directory you are working on. These two already you saw that one, right? Just a minute. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. So this is what the process is. Okay. So in the process module, we don't have a much more things to discuss, but whatever the things really is required in the further sessions, I will just go with a few of the things. See, this process is a like completely a internal thing in the sense you have to understand what is a threads are, what is a process is. Like if you are aware of little bit about a computer organization or operating system concept, then definitely you are easily understand this stuff. Every CPU has some processes. Like for example, mine is a Windows operating system, right? My CPU has four core processes. Okay, so out of four, what is meant by these processes? For example, sometimes people say that okay, my Linux operating system having a core concepts and five core processes and all. Okay, what is this core process means? That means every process can run a simple thing called threads. Okay, of course, threads is a different concept here. Okay, so PQRST threads is not mentioned here. Okay, maybe these are not mentioned here, but threads is a separate worker threads. This is a separate concept. If you go for a worker threads, you can see like what kind of what kind of what it is called uh, services we can implement by using a threads. For example, if you are talking about any chat application, if you are aware of chat application, right? For example, let's say if you are talking about WhatsApp, right? In a WhatsApp, let's say you are chatting with multiple people. Let's say you are talking with one guy, another guy, another guy. Okay, keep on chatting with one by one. So that is nothing but each and every user, whatever we are chatting, right? Everything can treat it as a one thread. It is not a process, one thread. So entire all the threads mixed with all the threads or combination of all these threads is nothing but a one process. Basically, that is how it will work. Okay, every CPU is having a multiple process, and each and every process have a multiple threads. Okay, on the threads. So basically, what CPU will do? CPU will allocate the particular resources to the threads from the process. Okay, let's say there are one process is running, so CPU will take some resources and assign that to the threads. That too depends on some algorithms. If you are aware of first come first serve algorithm, priority based algorithm, did you ever heard about in your engineering college days? Like you may heard about this one. There are multiple types of algorithms are there. First come first serve, or priority based, or there are a lot of algorithms are there. I didn't recollect the names, but there are a lot of algorithms are there. So these will run all the processes. Okay, so make sure while you are running the process, depends on the process only your CPU speed will be determined. Okay, so basically how many processes you will support in there are maybe more than more than 100 process can run at a time. What is a process? Process is nothing but a one task. For example, what you are doing, you are opening an Internet Explorer, or you are using a Chrome and trying to search something. Meanwhile, you open something like a web WhatsApp or something here, and I try to chat with someone. Meanwhile, you are just playing some video or audio here. So one CPU can handle multiple tasks, right? This each and every tasks are nothing but individual processes. For example, if this let's assume it this way. This Chrome is running, right. This is one process. This is one thread. This is one thread. This is one thread. So each and every tab treated as a one thread. Okay. So worker threads. We will discuss about these concepts in a worker thread in a different mode. But try to understand what is the process is. So if you go here, right, the very first point they will mention the process object provides information about and control over the current Node.js process. The process object is instance of a event emitter. I mean, every individual event, whatever you are writing, that is called a one process. Okay, that particular event emitter is an instance of this process object. Okay, so there is another thing called a libuv is there. Libuv is one of the library what we are using in what it is called Node.js. So the source code is a lib slash process.js. Process.js. This is another. It is not a JavaScript framework or something. Okay, this is a one just JavaScript file where you are having lot of process. I mean, lot of piece of code is there. So based on that code, we are running all the things. So the lib is a one of the library. Inside the library we do have a different kinds of modules are there. Out of all this, process is also one of the module, or process is one of the called one of node module. So by using that we will running all these things. Okay, so if you see this one, right, process dot on of before exit of and then one callback. Basically process dot on is one of the method, and before exit is nothing but an event. Before exit or exit, all these things are one of the event. So if you go on here, right, process dot on is one of the method. You can see ABCDFGHIJKLMNO process dot on, where it is. It's not showing here. Basically process dot on is one of the method here. Okay, let me show. Okay, okay. There are minor different. No, not this one. It is not showing here, but basically process dot on is one of the method. Okay, we will see. Like I don't know, it is not showing here, but process dot on is one kind of method where you can execute some piece of code. Okay, let me write down some examples here. Okay, let me write down some examples. Okay. Okay. So first of all, I mean, even if you go with any theoretical, right, probably people you may can't understand the things, but so that is the reason I'm just trying to write down some examples here. Okay. So this one is done. So I will remove this one. Okay, fine. Now let's say you don't need to include a process. I mean, just like all other like file system or something, you don't need to use a like require of what it is called process and because this is inbuilt one. So basically, the very first one you can know is like process dot what do you have some argb. Okay, so this is one of the constant. Basically, you're already aware of these things. Okay, so you can see like a file to .js. Okay, so these are the arguments what we are passing. The very first argument is a node execution path, and the second one is the current file name. Whatever you are passing, that is what the current file name is. Similarly, we have something called a console.log of something like a process.cwd. CWD stands for the current working directory. Okay, so process.current working directory. Basically, the process.current working directory method returns the current working directory of the Node.js process. So this is how it will look like. Okay, so date node underscore trend. These are the only two things you are aware of, but there are a lot of other methods are there, and there are a lot of other constants are there. Okay, what are those constants? For example, let's say if you are talking about a process, see every Node.js is running each and everything is one process. As I mentioned, it is my server. In this server, we are running each and everything is a process. Every process is having a individual IDs. For example, see, uh, just a minute, just a minute. Okay. So what I did, like I just press a control shift delete. When I press a control shift delete, it will show the task manager. when you see the task manager, right? Inside the task manager, there are a lot of applications are running on the background. Each and every process, these are all part of nothing but a simple processes. Okay. Let's say Google Chrome is one of the process which contains some number of threads. Okay. Similarly, as I mentioned, Microsoft Word is a one application and it is nothing but one process. This process is running with one thread. Okay. Similarly, every process is having one process ID. If you want to see this process ID, you can use something like one constant inside the Node.js. That is nothing but a PID. PID stands for the process ID. If you go here, right? uh, yeah, process.pid, this is one thing. The process.pid property returns the process ID of the process. Whatever the current process is running, if you want to display the process ID, you can use something like a PID. Okay. So, and make sure, see, it may not be equal every time. For example, it is printing like a 23488 first time, and next time if I run the same thing, it may not be the same. Why I'm telling like it is may not be the same? Basically what happened, right? CPU will allocate a process ID, or CPU will allocate the resources based on the availability. It is not like a, see, basically what happened, right? When CPU is only assigned this process ID to particular process, right? Every time it will fix it to that one, and CPU will wait more number of time with this process. Okay, so that is the reason I suggest you to go with this algorithms first. Okay, I will give you some list, something like a round robin algorithm. Did you ever heard about this? Did you ever heard about a round robin algorithm, priority based algorithm? Okay, similarly, first come first search algorithm. Okay, there are lot of algorithms are there. You just need to know. See, I'm not asking like don't go with each and everything, but at least try to understand what kind of algorithms we have. Round robin in the sense there are a lot of processor that are there. Then CPU, how this will produce? First it will give one process, CPU allocate one process. So once it is done, or even if it is not done or finished, make it a in progress and just allocate another process and keep on going. Like it will allocate resources to all the process. That is the reason your system will not hang even when you are running a very big operations, right? So the Google Chrome is running here. Meanwhile, I can open another video player or audio player and make I can run that particular application. While doing that, I can open another browser and I can chat with someone there. So multiple things can be handled by using a CPU, by using this allocation of the resources to the different kind of processes. Just go with the round robin algorithm, priority based algorithm, first come first serve, first come first serve algorithm. There are a lot more are there, but I strongly suggest you to go with the multiple kind of algorithms are here. Okay, so every process is having one process ID, which can be denoted by using a process.pid in the Node.js. Okay. Similarly, we have something called dot version. Version stands for the basically what process dot version will do. It will display all the versions of particular Node.js, whatever instance it is installed in your machine. For example, the process dot versions property returns an object listing in the version strings of the Node.js and its dependencies. Process.versions.module indicates the current API version, which is increased whenever a CPU API is changed. C++ API changes. Node.js will refuse to load modules that were compiled against different modules of API version. So always it is stick to the only one particular node version. Okay, it will give all the details of the node versions whatever you have. So this is how you can see the process.versions. So simply console dot log of process dot version is my variable name. Okay, it's a fixed constant. Okay, just use this process dot version. It will display you all the versions whatever we have. Currently we have a 20.9.0 in my current machine. If you go with the node hyphen hyphen version, right, this is what my we can command to check whether my node version is installed or not properly. So 20.9.0 is my current version which was installed in my machine. So the same thing we can see that by using the process dot version variable. Okay. So process.arg is already done. Similarly, there is something like a console.log of process dot architecture. This one you need to know. So process.architecture is there. Basically, for example, see, now I'm using a Windows 32 operating system, right? Some people may use something like a uh, Linux operating system. Some people can use a Macintosh operating system. There can be any kind of operating system. Whatever the operating system you are using, if you want to know that particular what it is called architecture of that particular process, you can see this one dot arch. Okay, process dot arch. Just the operating system CPU architecture for which the node.js binary was compiled. Okay, currently we have possible values are these things: ARM 64, so on, so on, so x64. Mine is Windows x64, so that is the reason it will show this one. Okay, for example, if you go here, right, you can see something like this. Save, run the code. Oops. Okay, so x64, that is a Windows 64. Okay, cross 64 in the sense Windows 64. That is what the architecture we are using from my thing. Okay, operating system. Yes, OS stands for the operating system. Okay, great. And next one, there is something called a environment. You can see the environment as well. If you want to know what kind of environment you are using, as I mentioned, you remember in one of the diagram we show you like whether it is a dev environment, QA environment, Dev 2 environment, QA to 2 environment, UA environment, UA to 2 environment, pre-production, production. There are different kinds of environments are there. So to define that environments, we are using a .env file. While you are implementing some web applications, definitely I will show you like how the env file will be helpful for a different environment. But in our machine, I can show you only the local box. Hardly I can deploy the code into either Heroku or somewhere, and I can show you only the one kind of environment. I cannot have a different kind of environments because our infrastructure will not support for a different kind of environment. Basically, when you are working for any organizations, right, they will have their own servers. So every server DevOps people will assign, or system engineers will put some name like whether it is a dev machine or it is a QA machine or user acceptance test machine or pre-production machine like that. Okay. So process.env is there. The process.env property returns an object contains the user environment. If you want to know about environment, just go with this link and see that. An example of this object is look like this one. Okay. This is how it look like. Okay. It is not exactly. But if you want to know about that one, just go here and try with the console.log and process.env. Env is my environment. Okay. Just save. Okay, now run this one. See, this is what my environment is. If you observe this one, right, it will have all the parameters about the environment. All users profile where it is saved. I mean, home drive, whatever the home path is there. Okay, there are few things you can easily observe, but I can't say like everything you cannot. Okay, the number of process I have is a total 8. That means each and every process have a 8 threads I can run in my machine. Okay, so the program files folder, whatever the program files folder is there, it will show that one. Okay, that's it. There are a lot of things you can see like where you are, uh, where a few of the things about the environment in my environment. Of course, it is in my local box, but if you say run the same kind of command in other environment, few things can be changed. It cannot show something the C drive, blah blah blah, and all. Instead of that, it will show the dynamic path. It is a mine is a what it is called a static paths. Everything is a static path, but sometimes you can see the dynamic path is itself. Okay, and similarly, you have something called platforms. Okay, okay, platform. If you want to know what is a platform is nothing but a property returns in a string identify the operating system platform for which the node.js binary was compiled. See, currently the possible values are this one. Okay, for Linux it is showing a Linux. For Windows it is showing a Windows 32. Of course, Darwin is one of the CPU or one of the operating system it is right. And I don't know. Remaining everything. SunOS I know. SunOS is one of the operating system, and Windows 32 is one of the operating system. Linux is one of the operating system. Darwin is one of the operating system. It will show you the operating system type. That's nothing but a platform. If you want to know the platform, right, simply just a process.platform. That is what you need to run. So I just use a console.log of process.platform. It will show you all the platform details. See, mine is Windows 32. That is the reason it is showing the Windows 32. Okay. Similarly, there is something called a release. For example, if you want to know about what Node.js release is there, so there is something called a process.release is there. This is what the method is. So what it will do, the process.release property returns an object containing the metadata related to the current release, including the URLs for the source tarball and the headers of the tarballs. Just go with this one. It's look like this one. Okay, it contains different names. different key pair values inside the object, the name, long time support, source URL, header URL, lib URL. There are a lot of URLs are there. It will show all the things. So for that, what we need to use, we need to use something like a process.release release variable, console.log of process.release. So what it is written, see, save. You can see this is the one process.release. It is showing like a name is a node, LTS is a long-term support is a iron. Man, the name what they kept is a long-term support for long-term support name is a iron. Okay. So the source URL is that one 20.9.0 as I mentioned. The headers URL also the same. The lib URL, whatever we are using, it will show the lib URL itself. Similarly, we have something called a version and versions. Okay. Okay. So the versions is there. Let me try with this one. Okay, process that versions are there. So what is version? The process that versions property return an object listing the version strings of the node.js and its dependencies. So you can use a process.versions.modules, but still you can use a process.version because in the recent version it is showing all the versions here. Okay, so process.version is my variable name. It will show only one version, but it is showing all the dependencies and all the dependent versions as well. Okay, dependent versions in the sense you are aware of. I show you one time. You remember when you're going for an npm package, right? Just go with any package on the top of the header. You can see dependencies and go for the dependencies, and you can find another module. Iron, why? That's a name that was indicated by Node.js community. It is not our stuff Divyansh. Okay, it is not in my hand. Basically, Node.js community people are maintaining that name. Okay. Okay, fine. This is dependent versions. Okay, 20.9.0. What are the dependencies are there? And those versions you can see here. Okay, so V8 is there. So V8 is a dependent version. Inside the dependent version, we have something called this kind of version. Node 16 V8 engine is there. That is what we are using. And Z library, we are using Motley. So there are different kinds of dependencies are here. One along those versions, if you want to see, you can use a process versions. And thus, as I mentioned earlier, this is what a few of the constants I have explained, but I strongly suggest to go with the other constants and check like how that will and what kind of variables it is, what it is. See, I told like release, PID, and platform, these kind of variables I told you, right? I just search with Google it and try to go with other constants as well. Okay, not only the constants, there are some other methods as well. Okay, we do have some methods. Okay, the very first one is you are aware of CWD. You already saw that one, current working directory. So I don't want to go with that, but this is the most frequently used function. Why? Because while you are writing any full stack application, right? Let's say you are uploading some files or images and all. By that time, if you want to display some image, definitely you need to know the current working directory path. It can be either a cloud URL or it can be a server URL. For that server URL, if you want to include the full path or find out the full path, you will definitely use this current working directory, CWD. Okay. So similarly, we have some few things. I can say something like what we have. High resolution time, for example, HR time is there. Okay. So this is the legacy one, but yeah, I have used in one of my applications. So that is the reason I remember this one, HR time. Okay, in my old days, it is like I can say like 2 to 3 years before when I working for one of the project. So that is something like a one television channel. Okay, so just like Geo, right? Geo or any yeah, legacy in the sense older. That's it. Okay. So Geo Geo app is there, or some Z5 apps are there, right? So this kind of app. One of the application I have prepared for long back, like 3 to 4 years back, while I am running on, I mean, creating one of the application. By that time, they want to find out like uh, uh, you know different kind of resolutions in the video. By that time, sometimes what happen, if your network or bandwidth is good, by that time you are it is okay to show that high resolution video. But whenever sometime, let's say your bandwidth is really not good, and if you have a 3G or 4G, by that time the resolution will be changed automatically. So by that time, what user will complain after some days, okay, I'm not getting a proper HD video, but you are taking money from me, right? That is what the complaints will be. So what we will do, whatever the high resolution time they want, they are running the video. By that time, what we will do, we are just uh, keeping that particular time and inside the database or catchy, and we are updating our server, and we are making sure that okay, this user is having a more number of time about this HR time. HR time means horizontal, sorry, high resolution time. Okay, so process.hr time is one of the method. Okay, definitely people use sometimes. I can't say like okay, currently we are using, but earlier we are supposed to use this. Okay, so console.log off. Okay, this one. This is optional. Time is optional. Either you can send or you may not send. That is fine. But it will show like okay, it is returning one kind of array. Like, there are two values. One is the difference. Usually people what they will do, like they will starts and ends. So they will find the difference between these two times. These are nothing but a timestamps. Okay. Don't consider these are the numbers or something. These are the timestamps. Sometimes this milliseconds time is too big. I think you know in a JavaScript basically we have something called a number data type. We don't have to handle a save max integers or save manager integers. Did you ever heard about this stuff? Okay, if you are, then it's fine. Otherwise, okay, in the developers Mozilla, you can see something like a save underscore max underscore integer. Okay, number safe dot max underscore integer. Okay, so max safe integer. I'm sorry, I wrote a little bit wrong, like safe underscore max, but it is not. It's a number dot max dot safe underscore integer. So up to this number, this is the expected output. Up to this number, we treat it as a safe integers. Above that values, really JavaScript is not able to handle that safe integers. That is the reason in the recent days they found out with a new data type called a begin data type. Basically, begin data type is a very big one, and it will handle any big number. Okay, see if you observe this one, right? Previous safe max integer is at this one, but simply what they are appending, they put simply a n at the end of that number, then it will be treated as a big integer number. Big integer is also one type of data type. I mean to say, like if you go and try with a very huge big number, right? Really, this can handle. So how this can handle, like it will take a number or whatever the safe integer and just put append a n at the end. So by that people will know that it is a very big integer. Okay. So yeah, if you go over here, right, and you can see like there is a example like high resolution time dot of begin. It will take some number, and they are writing a set time out inside the set time out. The end time out also they will find the difference between these things, like end minus start one. That this much of nanoseconds are there. Okay, so if you want to find that nanoseconds or milliseconds between these two, then definitely high resolution time will definitely useful function. Not only this one, there are some other methods, something like what we have. Okay, this memory usage is there, right? This memory usage is also one of the useful one. What it will do, returns an object describing the memory usage of the Node.js process measured in a bytes. How many bytes you are using your Node.js process, it will clearly mention that. Guys, if you are writing a simple, web applications like writing a simple APIs and all, it cannot be or it may not be used. But if you are trying to implement little bit very big applications. For example, any financial related domain, or if it is a healthcare domain, this kind of projects, right? Very minor, small numbers also really are very important. So that is the reason you need to understand how the is used. The performance really matters in nowadays. That is the reason these single page applications are really popular nowadays when compared with other applications. You can build an application by using a Java or .NET and all, but why people are coming with the single page applications and writing instantly they are implementing an applications, right? There are a lot of things, like for example, if you compare with the AWS, sometimes when you go with the GCP, Google Cloud, so it can be a little bit slow when compared with the AWS. That is the reason AWS is most faster. So we can say like performance wise and storage wise it is a good. So that is the reason people choosing nowadays AWS then go with the Microsoft Azure. Of course the importance will be there for other cloud technologies, but yeah, this is the most popular because of their uh, elasticity. I mean to say like how much they are expanding these things and all. Similarly, if you want to kill any process, right, you can use some method and kill the process. For example, there is something called a dot kill method is there. Okay. So basically dot kill of process ID. If you mention the process ID, definitely that will kill. but don't use this one in sometimes. Why I'm telling you this one? If you kill the process, then definitely whatever the application is there, that will stop. Okay. There is something called a graceful shutdown. Okay. People will ask you in the what it is called in the interviews, in a graceful shutdown. This is one of the important question. Graceful shutdown in Node. Okay. So basically go with this concept, not just graceful shutdown. Just it's a beginner's guide, but yeah, just go with the concept and just try to learn and understand. What is this? There is no. Okay, the medium is there. Okay, we can go with this one. Okay, just a minute. So just read about this graceful shutdown concept. Okay, basically what graceful shutdown will do, it will basically what is happening, like when your cpu is too much heavy. I mean to say, like there are lot of processor that are there. You are hitting so many times of database. Let's say the load is very high. Let's say yours is enterprise application, for example e-commerce application. Let's say by that time suddenly you cut some offer or something, then people suddenly started using our website. Immediately the traffic will be increased and your cpu is reaching to the more number of you know threshold. You have given something threshold like 1,000 or 2,000 per second, for example 1,000 requests per second, but unfortunately what is happening, unfortunately you are getting 3,000 to 4,000 requests at a time, then your node server is not able to handle that one. So that is the reason you need to have a backup code. So what the backup code will do, if you are not able to finish all the requests, then sometimes I mean to say, like as I mentioned, like the threshold is reached, then you need to shut down your server in a graceful way. Graceful way means you need to kill the process at some particular time. Okay, I mean to say, like let's say the payment is done, you don't need to allow users for some low bandwidth people. So somehow you need to stop that particular request, right? So in that cases, we will use a process dot kill. Okay, so just read about this one. Okay, it is not like a what mostly it is a theoretical concept. It's not much handling here, because in a real time nowadays the cloud, whatever the cloud operations are there, like cloud organizations are handling everything. I mean, it is like you can deploy your react.js code or node.js code into the servers in the cloud servers, and cloud servers are handling this kind of stuff. Like even if your requests are reaching to the more number of requests, still they are able to handle. But still, let's say your server is in your local box or in your premises or in your environment, suddenly the request count is well. Did you ever heard about what it is called load testing? There is something called a concept called a load testing. Okay, basically testers will do, like they will write some piece of code and process. They will send a thousands of requests one time and 2,000 requests I mean second time 3,000 requests. They will see our server capacity. Okay, that is called a load testing. Just go and read about this one as well. Okay, load test. It is not a practical thing. It is just a theory, but I'm just asking you to understand the thing. Just try to read the thing and try to understand how many times you can what are the what this load testing will do. Okay, basically what will happen, right? Sometimes see, these 25 virtual users, they will try to hit your application and see like whether it is your server is capable to handle those people or not. Sometimes virtual users log, I mean sometimes it's a 50 virtual users, 100 virtual users. So immediately they parallelly logged in into your machines and see like whether you are able to handle your server is able to handle all the requests or not. This kind of load test. Okay, so but if you want to run this practically, this process dot kill, definitely that is one option. And remember one thing, you may get a different kind of errors while you are writing process dot kill, because as I mentioned earlier, you remember this or not, process is always not wait for a single thread. So basically what has happened, right? CPU will allocate one process to, I mean your resource to one process, and at a time it will directly go to another process, so that these resources will be free. So the process ID may not be the same for every time. That is what you saw this one, right? If you observe this one, the process ID one time it is a different, another time it is a different. We saw this process dotted while running this one. I show you. So multiple times while you are running, the process ID is different. But the thing is same. Whatever you are running, the same. But while I'm writing the code, what CPU is doing is it is assigning this particular process to another one, so that all the resources will be redirected to that particular task, and it is fulfilling the task. Okay, so I am doing something like a, let's say console.log. Okay, So what I will do, I will just put something like a process dot kill is my method. You need to mention the process ID. Of course, I don't know the process ID. Every time it is a different. So that is the reason what I will take. I will take like a process dot PID. You can directly mention copy paste the process ID by taking from here 207302. But yeah, I'm giving it as a static way. Why I'm going, I mean dynamic way. Why I'm going with a static way and all. Okay. So while you're running, right, whatever the current process is running, the process is immediately killing here. Okay. Of course, you may expect or encounter some errors here. Okay. So yeah, for now I'm not getting any errors because after running this one, the process is already killed. But yeah, after this one, what I will do, I will just see copy and console.log off. I'm just pasting this one. So what I will do, I'll just show you something like this. See, before kill. Okay. So before kill, the my process ID is this one. But after I kill that particular process, immediately what CPU will do, it is again, this is one of the tasks, right, to run the Node.js server. That is the reason it is allocate another new process. So after kill, the process ID is this one. Okay. So see, so see, before kill it is a 2727740. Of course, it is not assigned yet. Basically, that was stopped. The process itself, I mean, this terminal or kernel is stopped here. So the new process will be killed again after you are running this stuff. Okay. So it's already killed. Before kill in the sense 27740 it was killed. After that, it is not creating. That means it is not assigned. The process itself it is killed from here. Okay. Okay. Then what else we have? Just a minute. What else I have? Process.abort is nothing but a simply you're aborting your process or you're exiting. See, kill is different and abort is different. Kill in the sense you're completely removing the process number. Okay. But process.abort is nothing but a stopped. Okay. Abort in the sense it is stopped or exit. Okay. That's it. Okay. It is not completely deleting the particular process. Okay. Just try with this one more time. And what else we have? We have worked with a few of the things, right? Process dot work direct exit code, blah 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 blah. What else? Hmm. This uptime is also one of the good one. Like basically, if you want to find how much time your Node.js process is up and running, if you want to find that seconds, number of seconds, then definitely process dot uptime is one of the method. Okay, I'll just copy this one and see like how much I mean, how much time from how much time our process is up and running. We can find this one. Okay. Uh, 1 minute, guys. Basically, you cannot see this one. Why? Because by the time you kill the process, it's the particular process is done. So I'm just commenting out that one for a for time being. So later, while you are writing, right, you can just give a try for this one. Okay, I saved this one and see. So total 0.067162 these number of seconds your process is up and running. It may not be the same every time because while you are running automatically that will change 0.62 0.55. Okay, it will change every time. I mean, how much time it will take and how much time from how much time it is up and running, it will show this one. So these are the seconds format. Okay, this number of seconds it is up and running. This is all about the process. I mean, you can just give a more trial and more number of functions. Just try with the more number of functions. This is how for time being I have given. We have something like a current working directory, a high resolution time and kill and uptime. And I think we have something shown here, right? Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, memory usage. I think I have explained about this memory usage, but I didn't I mean run this one. So I'm just running here. Console.log of process.memory usage is one of the method. How much memory you are using, this really matters. So this is the one which we get an output for memory usage. Okay, so how you will understand this one depends on your application and depends on your what it is called requirement. Okay, for now, but you need to know like how somebody come and ask you like how you can find the memory usage by my process by using a Node.js, then definitely you need to remember this function. Not only this one, there are a lot of things. But yeah, for now, at least try to learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 these five functions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These eight variables and all. Okay. Now Did you guys have any questions? I'm allowing participants to unmute themselves. Okay, you can unmute and speak if you have any questions, guys. No questions? Seriously? Uh, while you are implementing it, you will came to know a lot
Sir,
of stuff.
if any application or anything is running, then how to get the process ID? So to kill that process, in case if I have some issue in that particular process, I want to kill that process. We have a kill function by default, process.kill. But how do I get the process ID?
Yeah, this is all right. Process.pid will return you the process ID.
In case if multiple processes are running, then in a particular process, I want to know, is there
Okay.
any method or any
Okay.
log is there for that?
Okay.
Because in my
While
current project, if any job is running, based on the job ID, we can get the process ID. Then we used to
right,
kill that in the Unix commands. Whenever we get the
right,
DB issues or that kind of issues,
right,
generally I
right.
use these commands.
Mhm. Okay. Basically, see, whenever you are writing any piece of code, for example, let's say you are implementing some module, every module is a different module, right? So,
Yes.
uh, okay. First of all, to know that one, I will tell you one thing. Generally, whatever the Node.js you are writing, right, everything is called it as a service. Okay. Basically, what Node.js is provide, it will call it one services. I think I remember last time I told you guys to read about this monolithic application and a microservice architecture. I think somewhere I mentioned, yeah, this one. Monolithic application, microservices. Okay. Basically, in the microservices, what happens? Monolithic applications in the sense what? For example, you have an application, everything is there. I mean to say, like, let's say you have building an e-commerce application. Your payment gateway is in your server. Let's say your cart is inside your server. Every code is residing into the one particular server. That is what the drawback we have faced earlier. That is the reason the microservice came to the picture. The microservice is nothing but a small services. Everything is service. As I mentioned, like everything is one service. For example, if you take a AWS or Amazon site, right? Even the payment gateway is down, you can access the service and you can add your items into the cart. That means cart service is a separate service. Let's say you're going for a payment gateway, that is another service, third party or something like that is another node service. For example, if you are going for a, inside the payment gateway, again there is a different service are there. Credit card is one of the service, debit card is one of the service, and no, what it is called. Net banking is one of the service, UPI is one of the service. Different kinds of service are there. So how Node was built in such a way, like there are different services out there. All the services are linked together into one server. I mean to select different servers, of course, but by connecting by using a REST endpoint. Okay, so now each and every individual one is a different service. Every service is having a different PIDs. So let's say you are implementing a card service by using a node, that is one process ID. And whenever you are implementing something called a debit card, then definitely that is another service. So that is having another PID. Everywhere you do have some what it is called loggers are there. From using the loggers, you can know that what kind of basically if you observe this one, right? So in the task manager, when you go for a task manager, right? Just a minute. I'll show you. Inside the task manager, when you go here, right, you can see what kind of you know this what kind of service it is running and what is the process and all. You know the all the process details from here. Okay, so there is something, just a minute, here you can see the process IDs as well. So from these process IDs, you can take a process ID and you can remove that one. It's not here, I think somewhere it is here. Yeah, this one, come on. Where is that? The details is there. This is the process IDs. If you observe this one, right, everything is one process and PID stands for the process IDs. Okay, this is how you will copy the process from here. Of course, it is a manually we are doing. Basically, this is one kind of application. If you're writing your node application, let's say it is one node service, let's say it is one credit card application, right? Okay, payment gateway through the credit card, this is having one PID. Payment card by using a net banking, this is one PID. Okay, you need to put the logger everywhere properly so that you can copy that one and you can just go there and manually you can delete that one. But what we suggested is not to use the kill method more number of times. Basically, that will down your CPU. Basically, suddenly you are killing one process. then immediately what CPU will do, it will allocate some resources from somewhere and stopping that particular process and assign those resources or CPU resources to here. So this, because of that, what will happen, right? In a real time, if you're having a very big application, definitely your server will be slow. So that is the reason if you go for a documentation or somewhere, people will tell that don't use a kill more number of times. I mean, to like everywhere. Instead of that, you will gracefully shut down. Just take the server and stop that or abort that one. Use that abort or something instead of writing a kill method until unless it is really required. Okay. So this is all about the process, and definitely guys, please go with a day by day practice. So one day if you go with a buffer, it can finish like more whatever you can, right? At least few of the methods you can cover with the constants and all. And if you go with the process or file systems, so these are very small things. Uh, Further going, right, what we will do, we will write an entire Node.js application. We will create a Node.js app and writing the APIs and writing the middlewares and hitting from the postman and connection to the databases. So the work will be a little bit more. So to avoid all burden at that time, better I suggest you to go here and just try with all the modules and cover more number of modules. Don't stick with only the concepts what we have covered here. Okay. We are going with a very simple examples, but you have to give a try for more number of examples, please. These are the process constants and these are the process methods. Just go with these things. Let me do one thing. I will put it at the last so that even if you copy paste and practice these things, it won't disturb your work. You guys don't have any questions? Yeah, just go with the practice first, okay? And just let me know if you have any questions. So there is a few questions I do have for you guys. I think you guys are experts in the JavaScript and all, so that is the reason the task I'm just giving for you. Okay, let's say there is something called a object. Okay, inside the object, I have something called a name. Okay, uh, something like Palu and something like a height. Okay, 5 to let's say. Okay, this is what my object is. My object is having only two properties. Okay, only two properties. Now if you observe this one, right, basically what I will do, okay, we will close the session, just hold for a 2 more minutes. Okay, we will just put the object here. Okay, when I'm just keeping an object here, like what is happening here, I saw that name and value is a type of 4.2. Now let's say if I do something like a object dot name, so what will happen here? If I override this one with Shravan, okay, basically what it will do, it will replace this value with a Shravan. That is what I'm expecting, right? Okay. Now, don't use any freeze methods. Don't freeze the object. Without freezing the object, how can we stop the user to not override the existing property? How can we prevent the user to override the property value without freezing the object? Okay, so this is what your question is. Do whatever you want, but don't freeze the object. Instead of freezing the object, just try with some example, or try to make some changes and try to find out like how we can freeze the object. This is what your question is. Just try to implement that. Let's see how many of you are experts in JavaScript. Okay, that's it. If no one is have any questions, please go ahead and practice these things. I'm definitely telling you within next one, by next week we will go and implement these APIs and all, right? So by the time what will happen, your work will be, uh, you know, it will be more work is there. So don't keep all that overburden work on your shoulders. Just try to practice all this stuff and be familiar with all this stuff. Definitely we will see, like if you have any questions, we will discuss over the further sessions and we will go and implement more number of things. Make sure you are using your personal laptops itself. Why? Because in coming upcoming sessions we are installing a, MongoDB, we are installing MySQL database, and we are installing some Postman. How many of you are known about a Postman or SOAP? Anybody have any idea on a
Soap
SOAP or
is
Post?
soap. I in web services we used it.
Okay. Okay, so
Post.
if you are aware of the SOAP, the same way Postman will be there. Earlier, we are see SOAP is having a more number of capabilities. Like you can implement a API and you can test the API as well. But on Postman, usually we can only test that endpoints. There is no facility or capability to implement the APIs and all. But instead of that, you can write all the HTTP or HTTPS calls. Yes, Dinesh, correct. For API purpose, we are using Postman. Make sure you install a Postman in your machines. Make sure you install a MySQL and MySQL client, or Postgre or PostgreSQL client, or MongoDB client. Okay. So there are a lot of softwares you are going to use. So make sure you are using your personal laptops only instead of using your office laptops or something. Okay.
Recording stopped.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much then. If we don't have any questions, we